You know, they're selling y'all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I back. Trust me, I back.
But I'm not impressed by your performance.
You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you will do nothing.
I'll tell you what, bro. You know, I was out there, I was fighting all the hitters, bro. You ain't fought no hitters.
Come on, guys. It's normal.
I'm not saying I would fight you. I would kill you.
John, do you think I'm just gonna sit there and let you kill me, John? I mean, really?
No, don't be scared, homie.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
I'm gonna beat you into the living death. I mean, maybe that's your job, but where I come from, you know, people like that get slapped.
That's fucking illegal.
Nick Diaz, you just shook up the world. How's that feel?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Yeah, this is a simulated death match. And you haven't simulated anybody's death yet.
I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
What is the game plan going in against him?
The game plan is you go in there, hit him with some good shit, don't get hit, and come home with a pocket full of cash.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna drink a Coors Light. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing.
Do you want to be a fighter? That is my question.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chicken. Smoke.
Yes. What is up? What is up? MCR family, another daily edition of the show. What is up? Fat Apples, Eric Cruz, Georgie Porgy, Louie, Robieski, and Kyle in the chat. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's been having a great day. Obviously, you know what this is. It's MCR. It's a daily show where we break down the news, the topics, the fights of the day, basically. Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, live on YouTube, podcast form on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, etc. You know where to find podcasts. You know, if you listen to this, you should be, aware of it. Obviously, hashtag MCR podcast, where all hashtags are used. The news of the day, obviously, is Danny Garcia versus Shawn Porter in the boxing world, and obviously in the UFC and MMA world. We have the UFC 230 news, announcements, etc. Fat Apple saying, I knew somebody was going to say it, saying, damn, you had a shave. You look 17. Oh, yes. I know. It got boring. I get bored with it sometimes. People listen to podcasts have no idea what you're talking about. It's okay. But obviously, if you do not know, boxing is always in the first part of the show. MMA, UFC is always in the second part of the show. Just so you know, if you want to, either skip forward a bit or maybe leave halfway through the show, you can. Or you can listen to both halves, of course, and enjoy all of combat sports in its entirety. But we're going to get right into it because obviously, Danny Garcia, Shawn Porter announced, finally official. Though, let's be completely honest, this fight has been semi-official for 2 months now. I went back and I wanted to see what the date was for Danny Garcia versus Shawn Porter when the deal was confirmed and they didn't go to purse bids. That was May 25th. It is July 24th. They are a day shy from it being exactly 2 months down the line from when it was a done deal to actually getting a date. And in that time, they lost the August 4th date on Fox to a fight of Andre Berto versus Devin Alexander, which is a fine fight. Not a Fox caliber fight. Not FS1, Fox. And now we're going to get, let me get the actual fight card that's been rumored, just so I have it up for you guys, by way of Gray Johnson over at BoxRec. If, any of you want to sort of, hate on BoxRec or say that their ranking system is awful, this is the guy to hit up, by the way. Great guy. Saying the Showtime show will be a triple header. Likely will be, obviously, Danny Garcia versus Shawn Porter, David Benavidez versus Anthony Durrell, and Adam Wanaki versus Charles Martin. I actually like all three of the fights, I'll be honest, and especially in conjunction with each other. But again, it's really unfortunate. And I'm going to not dwell on this too much because this is a fantastic fight, but in the age of PBC, DAZN, ESPN Plus, etc., how do we get Devin Alexander versus Andre Berto as a main event on Fox, and then Peter Quillen versus Jalen Love as the co-main, instead of 2 title fights, 2 on Fox? Like, I hate that shit. It really bugs me. But tabling that, putting it to the side for a second, because obviously it is what it is. We can only sit here for so long and bitch about it. But this fight, Danny Garcia versus Shawn Porter, fantastic fight. 2 guys in the top 5 at welterweight. Obviously, the others being Crawford, Keith Thurman, and Errol Spence, and maybe a Jeff Horn, obviously, out there in some capacity. Manny Pacquiao, Lamont Peterson, sort of the guys on the fringe of the top 5. This fight, to me, and I've been saying it for a while now, that I think is one that a lot of casuals will make the easy pick of Shawn Porter. But I think maybe the slight underdog, which I assume will be the underdog in Danny Garcia, I think he might win it. And I know other people out there like Kenneth Boyer of, I think, World Boxing News. He echoes this as well. Shout out to him. I definitely believe that Danny Garcia has the timing, has the accuracy, and overall boxing skill to just be more efficient, basically, than Shawn Porter. It may not look the best, but I think he will be the more efficient guy, landing the better shots throughout the fight. But definitely cannot wait for it. It's one of the best fights to make, not only in boxing, but in that division, obviously, in a loaded top 5 right there. Even like top 7, top 10 right there. Even though it's top heavy in the division, welterweight's always been stacked in that sense, where you can match up any of these, from all the way from Spence and Crawford all the way down to Lamont and Pacquiao. You can match them all up together, and it's fun, interesting matchups. And this one is probably a fight that we've wanted for a while, one that we care about, one that's probably going to sell out the Barclays Center over there. It's definitely a fun fight, definitely one that I cannot wait to watch and do a live fight chat for, which would be obviously live on YouTube, as all live fight chats are. But moving on, just wanted to quickly, obviously, make note of that breaking news. Obviously, just want to quickly drill on David Benavidez versus Anthony Durrell. That's also one that's been announced for a while, but now it's been confirmed with this card. Fantastic fight right there, I think. If you're not going to fight a unification, I really like an Anthony Durrell matchup. To me, he's one of the most awkward, unorthodox, and just frustrating fighters probably in that top 10 at super middleweight. So I think it's a fun matchup, definitely for David Benavidez. And obviously the return of Charles Martin in some capacity with Adam Wanaki is a fun heavyweight matchup. And I think this entire card is pretty decent. And again, can't wait to do a live fight chat. Probably will actually maybe bring in Santiago, maybe some other people here, and do one for the entire card because I like all 3 fights, let's be honest. And Showtime cards usually aren't like the longest and most drawn out, like maybe like Fox Sports 1 cards. Rubisky saying, Porter, you crazy. Danny KO Porter in 10 rounds. Yeah, get that Puerto Rican flag out, man. Let's wave it. Get hyped. All right.
I want smoke.
But digressing, of course. Next news of the day. Quick sort of note. The Munguia Smith HBO broadcast peaked at 827,000 viewers. Average 777,000 viewers per Keith Hedek of Boxing Scene. It's always interesting to sort of note which cards get the headlines of the average and which ones get the peak. I always love going back and looking at like Keith Hedek's articles and seeing which ones get the distinction between the two. MCR, what boxing fights will you be watching this weekend? All of them. Come on.
I want smoke.
Come on, what are you thinking here? I'm probably gonna get a stream for Dylan White, Joseph Parker, because let's be honest, that one is not being televised that we know of. I don't think Showtime has picked it up as their like international stream, which they've been doing a lot lately. So maybe they do that last minute, which would be awesome for me. And then the Mike Garcia, Robert Easter fight, definitely gonna watch that one as well. There is a UFC card this weekend, I believe. I forget which one it is. Off the top of my head, I deeply apologize. But I'll probably watch that as well. I got enough equipment here to probably watch all the fights at the same time if need be. So it's not possible. Fat Apple saying 827,000 out of 319 million is quite low. Well, no, you're wrong, because 319 million people don't have HBO. HBO is a premium network. I think the subscriber rate for HBO is around 100 million. So that's really, come on, Fat Apples. Like, do you think all 64 million people in the UK have Sky, have the entire Sky package? Do you think all of them have Box Nation? Do you think all of them have BT Sports? Do you think all of them have ITV? Do you think all of them buy ITV box office? No. Come on. Fight IQ saying amazing UFC card. Which UFC card? Is it the one this weekend? Let me know which one it is, IQ. The Joanna and Eddie. Oh, fuck yeah. I'm definitely going to watch all of them. The Eddie Alvarez, Dustin Poirier fight card. I think Jose Aldo versus Jeremy Stevens is on the card. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, her comeback fight after back-to-back losses. Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch both of them at the same time. And I have it on my setup to where I can dual screen like HBO and, like, let's say Fox Sports. That's no problem at all. But digressing, because that was really off topic. Sorry about that. And Fat Apples again. HBO has around 100 million subscribers. And for those that don't know, ESPN has in the U.S., I want to say around 85 million. But they dropped significantly in the last 2 decades. Showtime has around 23 million. And so, just digressing. Oh, and sorry, that HBO number is international. U.S., I believe HBO is in like 35 million homes, to be honest. My bad. And Nielsen ratings do not count in international HBO numbers or streaming, obviously. Let's always get that right. Nielsen numbers, these broadcast numbers, never include the streaming numbers. So let's say if I stream ESPN fights on my computer, or I can't do HBO fights, but theoretically if I could stream HBO fights, that would not count for these ratings we see. Just a little factoid for you guys. Fat Apple saying Rubisky, yes, there are good fights. We'll be watching all the undercards. Same question for Matt. No, not live. I can never watch all the undercards live, or at least not intently. That's probably unlikely. But I usually, of course, go back. I think Sunday or Monday is usually when I go back, because obviously Monday is usually my review of what's been happening. So hopefully before like noonish, before Monday, I watch all the fights either once or twice, fully. But digressing, of course. Let's get to the next news and topics of the day. Oh, hold on one second. I deeply apologize. I gotta go yell at somebody right now. Yes, sorry about that, everyone. Little minor break there in the show. But let's get to the next news and topic of the day. George Groves versus Callum Smith. Allegedly going to be in Saudi Arabia in Jeddah at, I forget the name of the stadium, in September. Yeah. obviously when news first came out that this fight most likely wasn't going to be in the UK, I immediately just was like, come on.
It's bullshit.
What are you thinking? It's ridiculous. Fat Apple saying, okay, yell at someone. It was my dogs. My dogs were barking, and I wanted to yell at them. Matt's Pizza just showed up. That's hilarious. But digressing. Sorry about that. I think this fight, the fact that it's taking this long to sort of get together, the fact that it's not in the UK, it's just it's ridiculous at this point. Like it's not a good sign of the World Boxing Super Series. I think like common sense promotion. Like you have two UK fighters that predominantly fought in the UK their entire career, and you're gonna now make them fight outside the UK, outside their natural market. It makes a little sense to me, other than a cash grab from Saudi Arabia, which I think is kind of bullshit, to be quite honest. So, it's just really unfortunate. I think that, like, the UK fans here, Fat Apple saying, get the dogs on the show. Love dogs. No, these dogs are not getting on the show. No, they don't belong here. They're still barking. I know you can't hear them, but I can, and it's upsetting. But digressing. Andre Diakonu, what's up, Andre? Saying the King Abdullah Sports City Stadium. Yes, thank you for that. The air-conditioned stadium. Yes. I mean, tell me what you think in the chat and below, especially if you're from the UK. Does this sort of take some shine away from this fight? Like, takes sort of the hype away from it, that you guys aren't going to be able to sort of be there. It's not going to be a UK fight when it completely should be. Do you think they're just taking a cash grab here? And you guys in the live chat with these jokes, I swear to God. Quoting now old songs, I love it. But yes, let me know in the chat in the comment section below what you think about this fight being in Saudi Arabia instead of the natural common sense option and location of the UK / the O2 in London. Like, it makes zero sense why this great fight is not there. But it is what it is. Louis saying it sucks, but the hands are tied, I think. Yeah, but in what way? Like, we don't know. So then that leaves me to think, like, what sort of ties do Saudi Arabian oil princes have with the World Boxing Super Series? And then you guys start worrying about maybe corruption in that sort of sense. If they have their hands tied, that's not a good sign, to be honest. Maya, what's up, Maya? Saying it's money with like 5 Ys. If it's purely, hey, we're getting the bag from Saudi Arabia right now for this one fight, I'm okay with that, sort of. Like, I get it, as long as the fighters get some of it, like, at least a piece of it. But if it's a long-term, like, actual relationship between the World Boxing Super Series and Saudi Arabia, Louis saying the WBSS had a lot of sponsorship from Saudi Arabia. Maybe I just didn't notice it, because I'm not aware of it. Or informed enough about, like, their advertisement, so to speak. But I it's just unfortunate, whenever political sort of relationships with corporations lead to potential corruption or just malpractice of sports, athletes, companies as a whole. Benjamin saying it's not about the money, it's about the legacy. Don't worry about my pockets. Ayo. Georgie making an excellent point. I can't fuck with no country that treats women like shit. Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Let's be honest. But digressing, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Dre, y'all worry about money too much with the wilder voice. That's good. We're gonna move on to the MMA portion of the show, ladies and gentlemen. I do deeply apologize if that is not what you want to listen to, but it is what it is. I apologize. Luke Rockhold versus Chris Weidman was announced. from Brett Okamoto of ESPN for November 3rd at MSG UFC 230. And then quickly, I would say, within 24 hours, this news came out. Yoel Romero versus Paulo Costa at UFC 230 on November 4th. Just announced. Middleweight extravaganza. Wow, I totally fucked that word up. In New York, Rockhold versus Weidman, Souza versus Branch. Yes. Yes. This is awesome. But then we got this. Thank you, Ariel Helwani. Captain Buzzkill. I'm kidding. Saying according to multiple sources, Romero versus Costa has not been 100% agreed to. It has been discussed recently, and it could happen. But it's not a done deal at this time.
It's bullshit.
I am upset. Cue the Drake song. I'm upset. I really hope this gets figured out and that this fight gets in order, because Rockhold, Weidman 2, which is a fight that I wasn't too intrigued about, to be 100% honest. It's one of those fights where both guys have been sort of so injury prone that I'm concerned about it actually getting to that point. But then you add Souza versus Branch on the card. Okay, I see it. It's sort of backup fight. Sort of in case anyone gets hurt, you have a backup middleweight fight. And then they added Romero versus Costa. And before we talk about it not being official, that is fantastic. That fact that, the UFC is actually starting to do that more often. I think it's smart of them. It's sort of a insurance card for them to have multiple fights of relative ranking in the same division in case people get hurt. Because let's be honest, in the track record the UFC have had, a majority of their main events or co-main events fall out. And this year, I think it's 11 out of 16 main events or co-main events have fallen out. Some insane number. I think Mike Bond of MMA Junkie reported that. Go check out his Twitter account for the exact number. But it's an insane amount. So I understand that. And plus, Romero versus Costa is perhaps one of the best fights you can make that I did not know I wanted that much. It wasn't a fight that I was entirely intrigued about before it was made, but the second it was announced, it made sense. Bad apples. I will get to your question right after this topic. I see it in the live chat. I'll get to that. Don't worry. I think this fight will get made. I think Romero wants. I think Costa will want it. It's a big step up for Paulo Bohachina Costa, but man, God, the explosiveness from both these guys. You have the combination work of Costa. You have sort of the insane counter-explosive technique that Romero can display, plus the wrestling of Romero. I think the overall grappling skill of Costa has been sort of shown. I am highly intrigued about this. Now, just follow me here. Follow me here. I know this is set for November 4th, and I know what I'm about to say is highly unlikely. But please, and even in theory, they could do it just a week later, but in theory, Anderson Silva's suspension runs out November 10th. Why not move the event back a week or two? Why not? Replace it with a fight night in some other city. Move the date. I'm just saying, if it's a possibility, why not do it? And you throw Anderson Silva versus Israel Adesanya on this card as well. And you have basically the entire Fighter IQ saying breaking news. He texted me. Let me check this. The entire middleweight division on one card. I'm just saying that would be awesome. Ooh. Oh, yes, I did see that. I forgot to report on this. I'll get to it right after this topic. Ron. I think, if not that, throw Anderson Silva versus Israel Adesanya on a fight night a week later, 2 weeks later, as a main event, and then you have the entire top of the division fighting each other, basically. And if not Anderson Silva, Derek Brunson. And that's a realistic one that you can make on this card. If you wanted to throw Israel Adesanya on this card as well and feature them all together, then put Adesanya versus Derek Brunson. And I think you have a fantastic card just with these middleweight fights. So hopefully, again, it gets done. It gets made. But to actually go back to what Ron texted me about with the breaking news, I don't have it pulled up right here. I apologize. But per Dan Raphael of ESPN, Jamel Charlo has been charged or indicted, I should say. I think it was indicted on a count of domestic violence with his girlfriend. I'm not going to really comment on it any further until more news comes out and more information comes out. Hopefully justice is served. The truth is found out. Domestic violence in sports alone has a long, long history. Now, I hope this is not another case of that. That's all I will say. Yes, indicted on one felony count of domestic violence stemming from an alleged incident with his girlfriend, according to a Dallas court. Just wanted to report on that, and at least let you guys know what is happening there. But transitioning from that to some better news. Donald Cerrone versus Mike Perry, slated for UFC Denver. Another fight that I did not realize I wanted so much till it was announced. This is fantastic. This is a fantastic welterweight fight. Though I am concerned, let's be honest, and we should all be honest about, is this the right fight for Donald Cerrone coming off a loss to Leon Edwards? A sort of up and down past few years, getting knocked out a few times, getting hurt a few times. Mike Perry being a guy that's improved drastically, a guy that now trains in a gym he used to train at Greg Jackson and Mike Winklejohn. There's a lot, I think, wrong here for Donald Cerrone. If you're in his camp and if you're in his corner, you probably should have thrown the red flags and been like, whoa. We can take this fight maybe one fight later. Maybe go have a tune-up, go knock somebody out, go submit someone, and then fight a Mike Perry. But that's not what we're going to get. We're going to get a all-out fucking brawl between Donald Cerrone and Mike Perry, a battle to the death. It's going to be amazing as long as it lasts. Mike Perry's improved, I think, efficiency, his sense of distance, overall cardio management, I think, was all great signs in his fight. With who did he fight last? God, that's going to really bug me. Paul Felder. So, again, either a current stablemate of Donald Cerrone or a former one. So, I think Mike Perry is going to come in here and possibly knock out Cowboy Cerrone in a really devastating fashion that's upsetting to everyone that is Donald Cerrone fans, including me. But, hell, I mean, this is a fight to... This is a fight to basically get a sacrifice to the MMA gods right here. Whoever loses will definitely be sacrificed. Definitely. On the altar of the octagon. Because the bloodbath we're going to see here is insane. Can Cowboy get the record? The record, obviously, this from Fighter IQ in the chat, a.k.a. Ron the Mastermind, a.k.a. TBV's new co-host. And the record being total UFC wins in history. I think he will eventually, but then again, I think it's a record that's not going to last forever. Like, we're still talking about the infancy of the UFC in its entirety, and the UFC basically being the NFL to football as in the UFC is to MMA, right? It's only 25 years old. Go back 25 years into, like, actual professional boxing. And look at the difference there from, let's say, 1925, and that's being generous to how recent the start is of professional boxing, because we can go back to like 1880s, to be honest. And then we look at, let's say, 1930, 1940, 1960, 1970, 1990, 2000, for that sort of evolution of boxing. Look at MMA and how short it is. So in 100 years from now, or let's say 50 years from now, and we have a more complete sort of case study of the sport, I don't think Donald Cerrone is going to have the record. I think guys like Fedor Emelianenko would be almost forgotten at that point. I think you're going to have a lot of factors like that where these guys are like the Joe Lewises, the Joe Gans of the Willie Peps of their sport. These are guys that are going to be forgotten to most of the casual. Let's be completely honest. But yes, great fight that was announced. Digressing actually to Fat Apple's question, so I don't forget about it, saying question in the chat. What do you make of a fighter such as Michael Venom Page switching between boxing and MMA? Do you think fighters should be allowed to swap disciplines due to financials, or should they stick to the same sport? No, I don't think there should be any rule about switching disciplines. Why? I don't think that's an issue. If you're good at it, you can do it. But no, there's tons of fighters that switch between kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA, boxing. There's a lot, and I have no issue with it. There's maybe fighters I prefer to stick to one discipline because I think they're better at it. I think they have a higher ceiling in that. But in terms of should there be a rule that does not allow fighters to do that, no, not at all. I don't think that at all. That makes zero sense to me. Now, what do I think about Michael Van Page overall? I think he's a fantastic prospect and talent. We're going to see what he's really made of come September and the rest of this year when he fights Paul Daly and such in this welterweight Grand Prix tournament on DAZN with Bellator. You know, if he gets through Paul Daly, I think he's a legitimate top 20 talent in this sport. And if he goes on to, let's say, win it, you're talking about top 10 talent, top 5 talent. You're talking about him instantly being courted and pursued by the UFC instantly. Yeah, I think he has a high ceiling. I really do. I think he has a higher ceiling in MMA than he does in boxing, to be completely honest. But I think he's a guy that likes to be active. He's a guy that's wasn't active for a very long time in MMA when he probably should have been. So I think boxing was a result of that. And we've seen fighters pull it off. We have. And look at Israel Adesanya, a guy that is pulling it off. He's a guy that has achieved probably some of the highest levels of kickboxing you can achieve, and now is a top 10 UFC middleweight. Like it is completely possible to be excellent and elite in multiple sports and combat sports. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA is a common one. Fabricio Verdum, one of the best heavyweight Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners of all time, is also one of the top 15, top 20 heavyweights of all time at this point. So definitely some really good people there. Maya saying hashtag MattFacts. Come on, get it right. Hashtag MattStats. Always. A lot of good discussion in the chat. What's up, Jay? Part of Jay. I just saw you enter it. Fernando. What's up, everyone? Let's just move on to the next piece of news. And not really news so much as I just want to make note of it, discuss it for a brief period of time, and let you guys discuss in the chat in the comment section below. But Kevin Lee made this comment on MMA Hour with Luke Thomas about cutting weight. And he said everybody's kind of waiting for somebody to die. And it's actually a really good interview. Go check it out on YouTube, etc. And I'm a huge fan of Luke Thomas personally, and professionally. So I definitely implore anyone to watch his work. But Kevin, we've already had this. It may not be in the UFC, but we've had numerous cases of people dying due to weight cuts. Brazil's been known for it, and the Brazilian Commission has tried to skirt a lot of that issue. But we've had, from the top of my head, probably 4 to maybe 10 cases of fighters dying or going to the hospital, going in a coma from weight cutting. So this isn't something that we're waiting for. It's something that's happened. There's something that will continue to happen if it's not addressed. And now there have been some institutions, some organizations trying to skirt it. ONE FC has sort of a similar weigh-in policy to, let's say, the WBC, sort of like a 30-day weigh-in, a 90-day weigh-in, etc., to sort of measure how far they're along, and they can, at any point not allow the fight due to the weight being off too much. I like those ideas. I like those concepts and those rules. I think all institutions and commissions and regulatory bodies in the sport should do it. I think, obviously Kevin Lee is a big proponent for adding more weight classes to the UFC, making it more of the metric system, where, obviously you have, basically in the UFC, you have 115, 125, 135, 145, 155, and then 170, and then 185, and then 205, and then everything above 206 to 265. So it's one of those where I've always sort of been a proponent for evening out that 155 to 205 range. Make it by 10s. It's already by 10s below that. Why not do it the rest of the way? I see no issue with that, and I think it helps out a lot of people trying to cut to 155, people trying to cut to 170, etc. I think a lot of people will actually love this concept, and it will help a lot of people. And I think curving extreme weight cutting is not simply a one solution thing. It's going to take dozens of solutions to really curve it to we'd never have a case of somebody dying due to weight cutting again, because that should never happen. Fat Apples saying weight cutting is more dangerous than the fight itself. It's probably up there. I mean, the damage it does to your livers and kidneys long term is drastic, and people really don't talk about it. But I will say this: weight cutting is absolutely more dangerous than your opponent using PEDs. You as a fighter, cutting weight is more dangerous to yourself than your opponent taking PEDs, guaranteed. So, I think it's something that definitely needs to be done in some capacity and fixed. And I think all the regulatory bodies and sanctioning bodies in combat sports have an obligation to fucking fix it. It is on them. They have taken a duty to do that. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Another fight announcement: Evan Dunham versus Francisco Trinaldo, verbally agreed for UFC Sao Paulo. I'm just saying, hey, Anderson, Israel Adesanya, get on that card, please. That's a fun little lightweight fight between two, top 15, top 20 guys. And Trinaldo has had a sort of great run in the UFC when I did not think highly of him coming in. He has definitely turned into sort of the Gleason T-Bow of the UFC division. Gus Sandoval, I think, just joining the chat. What's up, Gus? Saying, when is Garcia Porter? September 8th in the Barclays Center, of course, in Brooklyn, New York. Undercard is David Benavidez versus Anthony Durrell, and Adam Wanaki versus Charles Martin, most likely. But yes. And for those that do not know, the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series is live tonight on UFC Fight Pass, featuring Nick Newell, who I've always been sort of a fan of. And just a great story. A fighter with one arm, basically. Only losing to Justin Gaethje, who is a top 10, top 15 lightweight. And it's, Maya adding to Garcia Porter live on Showtime. Thank you for that. Yes, it is live on Showtime. Nick Newell being sort of a great inspirational story. So just, I really can't wait to, see what he does here. But yeah, definitely go check it out. I will. I won't do a live fight chat for it or immediate reaction, but I'll be watching it. I'll probably be commenting on Twitter. And, well, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, another daily edition of the podcast. Mixed Combat Radio, hashtag MCR Podcast. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Trying to hit 1,000 subscribers for the end of the month. We have about a week left. So it's on you. It's on you out there. Yeah, pointing out all of you. All of you. It's on you. Obviously, go to patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. Get extra podcasts, tons of more content as well. And just help support the show. All of it for as low as $1 a month. You get all of the access to all the content on Patreon for as low as $1. And you can upwards as goes more of it as if you want. It's up to you. But there's really no, if you pay $1, you can't get access to this content. You can't get access to that. That doesn't happen. No. But yes, find us on podcast form later on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more. Find me, Matt Hunter MCR, all platforms. Mixed Combat Radio, all platforms. Peace.